Hello, beautiful peaches. Welcome to the Macros, Metabolism, and Motivation Beautiful Peach Podcast. I'm your host, Caitlen, a reverse diet expert, sustainable fat loss nerd, and food freedom lover. After healing my own mind, body, and metabolism from the icky, restrict, binge, food guilt cycles, I became obsessed with helping other women do the same. I spent 6 years getting my bachelor's and master's degrees in all things nutrition, dietetics, and metabolism health, go Clemson Tigers, in order to start a science-backed, never cookie-cutter, always customized online macro and reverse diet coaching business. I have supported over 3,500 incredible women in their journey to endless results, and I am so excited to help you do the same. In this podcast, I will be teaching you how to break up with the yo-yo diet cycles, tips and tricks to heal your metabolism through reverse dieting. I will be giving away my sustainable weight loss secrets, all without you having to give up a single food you love. So if you are ready to rediscover that self-love and truly become the most confident, beautiful peach possible, grab a pen and a piece of paper, bump up your volume just a little, and let's dive right in. And don't forget to snag your completely free high-protein macro cookbook. All you need to do is submit a quality 5-star rate and review on this podcast, then fill out the form in the show notes so I know exactly where to send your cookbook. This will actually also automatically enter you into the weekly macro calculator giveaway. Every week, I give away a copy of my C. Schmidt macro calculator to one lovely, beautiful peach who has left an awesome 5-star rate and review on this podcast. The winner is announced every single week in my email newsletter email list, as well as my Instagram story. You can't miss it. So leave that 5-star rate and review, and I will see you in the episode. What is up, my beautiful, beautiful peach? Today, we are going to be talking about my top 3 tips to stop ruining your progress every weekend. This is such a good freaking episode. I am so excited for this. So today I'm going to dive into how you can stop ruining that progress over the weekends. You probably very likely feel like you are consistently working so hard during the week, staying on track just to blow it over the weekend. And it turns into a kind of a cycle. One that I have personally experienced in the past. It could also be related to the restrict binge cycle. So for a lot of women, we are in a place where we are restricting as much as we can during the week to try and lose that weight, or knowing that we are going to completely blow it over the weekend. Then we do blow it over the weekend, and on Monday we're like, shoot, I thought I was going to do better, and we feel like we have to start over again and again and again. So I want to walk you through my top favorite tips because I lived in that cycle for so long, and now being on the other side and now supporting my clients through this, I have these 3 tips that allow me to still enjoy the weekends out and about. I love to eat out. I love to wake up on Monday feeling absolutely amazing. I don't have time to feel guilt. I don't have time. You know, when we're thinking about food 24/7, when we're thinking about guilt 24/7, we're stressing about our body 24/7, it's taking away from our friends, it's taking away from our family, it's taking away from our quality of life, and it's taking away, honestly, probably from our overall progress, because chances are, if you are having food guilt, you very likely might be in a restricted place or just overall have that food guilt, but it likely means that your body needs a little bit of love, your metabolism might need a little bit of love, and we want to get you out of those food guilt cycles. So without further ado, let's dive into this podcast episode, 3 tips to stop ruining your progress every weekend. I absolutely love the weekends. It is a time for me to disconnect from social media, to take a break from work, to really refill my own personal cup so I can then show up with all of my energy to my clients when I come back on Monday. And also, I used to make plans for the weekend, really fun plans,
But I would feel anxious when Friday came around. I would feel anxious during the week, even thinking about going out to eat, even thinking about, wine night with my friends or going out to dinner with my family. And what I would do is actually attempt to restrict extra during the week, telling myself, okay, so instead of the pizza, we're going out for pizza on Friday, I'm just going to get the salad. I was trained to go to unnecessary and really unsustainable extremes in order to just stay on track. So I would be in a place where I would stay away from everything I possibly could during the week, munching on lettuce, trying to eat as little as possible in the off chance that I ended up having a binge. I, quote unquote, couldn't control myself over the weekend and I ended up off track. I would feel guilty anytime I ate something bad, and this mindset initially came from the diets that I had done in the past, which made me feel, it pounds this idea into our head that if you eat anything quote unquote bad, you will be off track. You must go to these extremes to lose weight, and these come with longer term hidden problems. So when we're having this mindset of, stay away from the bad food, what's also interesting is what your idea of bad actually is. So for a lot of people who have been in that yo-yo diet world, we think, okay, so bad food for me, what does that mean? Okay, bad means I don't eat carbs, right? Carbs are bad. Okay, well, why are they actually bad? In reality, they're actually not. They're really, really good for our body, but the diet world makes us think that they are bad, okay? So we think carbs are bad, fat is bad, sugar is bad, alcohol is bad, anything processed bad, and it literally leaves us with what are we gonna eat at this point, right? It's crazy. I've seen, these make me so happy, I've seen reels and things like that on Instagram where it's people, I guess it's the audio in the background is what I just said. Don't eat carbs, don't eat fat, don't do this. And it shows I should do this. But it shows the person going to eat, I don't know, a bagel or something. I had a bagel for breakfast this morning. I had 3 eggs, a bagel, some blueberries, and a little bit of butter on my bagel. But it's one of those things where they go to eat a bagel and the audio plays and it's don't eat carbs. And so they put it down. It's shoot, what? Then it goes to another audio where it's dairy's the worst. And it's a person going to eat yogurt. And it's okay, well, they put that down. And it goes through all the different things. At the end, it's the person's eating one piece of lettuce. I really should make that. I think that would be so good to do. But that's the point, right? Because of the diet industry, we have this quote unquote diet box. And your diet box probably looks like something, or probably looks like a conglomeration of all of the different diets that you have done. So if you are somebody who's done keto, who's done, Whole30, who's done those challenges that tell you to cut out your alcohol, your sugar, all that stuff, you've now in your mind come to this place where all of those past diets and all of those diet guidelines are now internally making you feel like those are bad foods, when in reality, in our world, it is all about moderation. Have those foods that might be a little bit less nutrient dense, and then eat your nutrient-dense foods. And that's the way that I like to think. So I think that could even be an added trick. I'm about to walk through my 3 favorite tips that really help me ditch that weekend start over cycle. But I think an added tip here is starting to reframe the way that you think about food overall. And instead of thinking of food as good food and bad food, and instead of thinking of food as, this will cause me to get off track versus this will cause me to stay on track, think of it as moderation, and think of it as nutrient-dense foods, which are going to have the nutrients, obviously, the really, really good things to fuel your body with those nutrients. I feel that was an obvious. I don't know why I needed to try and explain that. And then also the less nutrient-dense foods. So I've got Oreos in my pantry. We've got probably way too much chocolate. I keep my chocolate in my freezer. It is so good. I love cold chocolate. Although be careful with your teeth because it can hurt those little teethies. I have cookies as well. I've got chips. I've got Lay's. I've got Tostitos. I'm thinking through my pantry right now. What do we have? What can we get? Point being is I've got all these things in my pantry and I don't have this need to keep things out of my pantry like I used to in fear of, oh my gosh, I have this food in my house. I'm going to get off track because I cannot control myself around those foods. And this is where these 3 tips are going to be absolutely incredible. And these quite literally, these 3 chips, we know what's on my mind, but these 3 tips literally changed my life, changed my life. So let's dive in. Number 1, tracking macros, but doing it the right way. And I don't just mean like having the correct macro numbers, which absolutely, yes, you want to have the correct macros, meaning your protein, your carbs, and your fat. You do not want to compile these from different sources. You want to make sure they're adequate and accurate. I think you mean accurate, not adequate. I don't know why I said adequate. I was gonna say, well, I mean, I guess you want to have adequate intake, but you want to have the right amount for your metabolism. So go ahead. Always down below. I always say this. My macro calculator is always down below in the show notes. It will teach you how to calculate your macros, your foundational starting macros the right way, okay? But leading back into this, what I really mean saying the right way, in addition to making sure you have the correct macros, is you don't want to take a restrictive approach to tracking your macros, okay? And to be completely honest with you, when I first started tracking macros, I was in a space where I was so incredibly restrictive. I'm a very big perfectionist. I am a type A person. And so I have the natural tendency back then to go into a space where I was using macros in an unhealthy way when I very first started tracking. I was pushing myself to make myself even more restricted. So I was using macros to restrict even more. It was pushing me into that restrict binge cycle, right? Waking up, then having the food guilt. And it was still pushing me into thinking of food as bad. If I ate just one fry, I would be off track. I might as well keep going, right? And then you have the binge and you have to start over. So I was using macros it was a disservice to myself, to be quite honest with you. And I hit a point, and I know I talk about my journey all the time and kind of like how things changed for me. So I was on a track to be a dentist or orthodontist. I didn't really know which one I wanted to be. And I ended up in my healing year, I went through so much internal healing, metabolic healing. I really owned up to myself. I stopped making excuses. I honestly was the kind of person who was like, oh, woe is me, the world's out to get me, pity party for me. But if you're going to live that world where everyone's out to get you, like, you're never going to be able to step out of the space where you get to say, hey, no, I'm here to show up for myself. I'm here to own up to my potential, and I'm going to step forward. I'm going to problem solve. I am going to find the solutions. I am going to find the long-term changes rather than waiting for someone to do it. And I, for so long, was just like waiting for somebody to do it for me. And I think there is a difference between hiring a coach. Like, when you hire a coach, you have to be in the mindset that the coach isn't going to eat for you. The coach isn't going to do it all for you. They're going to give you the tools that you need for success. That's what I do. I give you the tools. I am here to support you every single freaking step of the way, to help you hold your head high when you are having a bad mindset day, and to cheer you the heck on when you are having an absolutely phenomenal day. And also, you have to be the one who's going to show up, who's going to push forward, who's going to not play the pity party game, but instead be like, hey, Caitlen, I had this going on, or hey, Caitlen, I'm having a really bad mindset day. And instead of being like, oh, my life sucks, be like, hey, I'm having this mindset day. I recognize it doesn't feel good. Here's what I think I'm going to do about it. What do you think? Where can you, where can you support me? And that's what I absolutely love, because it shows this level of like readiness to step up for you. And I am here to step up for you. And it makes me so freaking excited. It's such a sidetrack, but I've had clients applying to BPM. BPM is my high-level coaching program for women who are ready to heal their metabolism from that diet burnout once and for all, so they're able to lose the weight that they have been holding on to for so long. And not every woman who comes into BPM needs a reverse diet. Not every woman who comes into BPM wants to lose weight, but you want to heal your metabolism. You want to heal your relationship with food, and you want BPM to be the last program that you ever need. BPM is an investment, and it's one that's going to lead you to long-term success. It will be quite truly the last program that you will ever need to do. And I have been getting so incredibly excited about the ladies who have been applying, because they have this energy about them where they're just like, I am ready, Caitlen. Like, I am here to show up for me. And I'm like, I am so obsessed with you. Like, I cannot tell you, it lights a fire in me when someone's like, hey, Caitlen, let's do this. Like, I want this long-term change. I am ready to see this. I am ready to learn. Like, I want to learn the what, the why, and the how. I teach my BPM clients how to adjust their macros for reverse dieting, for calorie deficits, for lean bulks, going through each and every single one of those, transitioning between them, and going intuitive for the long run. I get so freaking pumped. So we are going so far down a sidetrack here. I just get so excited. I do actually currently have BPM spots available. don't have very many left. So if you are excited about BPM, make sure you apply ASAP, ASAP Rocky. I think that's from a movie, but I've never seen it. I just say the phrase. My husband's like, do you even know what that's from? I was like, I have no idea, but it sounds cool, like ASAP Rocky. Anyway, the link is down below. It always is in the show notes for BPM. If you apply and it brings you to a wait list, it means that the spots have been taken and you'll be notified when spots are open. If you apply and it allows you to fully go through and it doesn't bring you to a page that says like you are now on the wait list, that means you can actually potentially get a spot if you are accepted. So bringing it back here, bringing it back to our episode, thinking of food as good food and bad food, restricting. I like to take an approach where with macros, where when we are tracking our macros, I am encouraging you, and I want you to be eating the foods that are not quite as nutrient dense. So eating the Oreos, eating the chips, eating those foods along with eating your fruits, eating your vegetables, eating those, having your fiber, getting that really, really, really nutrient dense food into your body. Because what's going to start to happen is if you have the proper macros and they're proper for your body, for your goals, for your metabolism, okay? And also you have the proper macro adjustments, I'll get to that in just one second, you are going to have the right amount of food for your body so you can fit the non-nutrient dense foods into your macros and still be right on track with your goals, okay? Protein, carbs, and fat, so macronutrients is the term for your protein, your carbs, and your fat. That's just like the overall term. Then we have the term macros. I felt like I was about to hiccup there. We have the term macros, and that's just a shortened term of the word macronutrients. So when we say we're tracking our macros, simply means that we're just tracking our protein, our carbs, and our fat. And it's super, super simple there. Protein's phenomenal for muscle growth and recovery. Carbs for our energy as well as our sleep-wake cycle, which is pretty crazy. And fat is a secondary source of energy, but it's so incredibly important for our hormonal balance. When I was restricting, was eating like 15 to 20 probably trying to eat that low too, but 15 to 20 fat a day. And I was like, why don't I have a period? Like, why is my body so out of whack? I was in this massive calorie restrictive place and I'm like, why am I like this? And it's like, because my metabolism's slow. I'm not eating enough food. And so when we get into a space where we're eating all three of our macros in the right amount, we can then start to go into a space where we're going to go into number 2 here. We can strategically start adjusting our macros to eat more food via a reverse diet and then safely go into a calorie deficit. Or if you don't need a reverse diet, you can just go into that calorie deficit if your goal is weight loss. If it's not, you can just go into that reverse diet and then reverse on up and then you are good to go. All without cutting out the food that we love. So when it comes to having that true food freedom, I cannot encourage you enough to track your macros and to start intentionally fitting the foods that you love into your day, because it's going to allow you to start to see progress and see results while eating the Oreos, while having a glass of wine, while going out to eat, and as you're strategically adjusting your macros as well. And it starts to disconnect the bridge of I can't have bad food because bad food leads to a lack of results, to hey, I'm actually eating these foods that I used to think is bad food, but I'm actually seeing results. And it starts to create this new mindset around food where you're like, hey, I have this freedom. I can go out to eat. I had one of my clients who was in BPM with me, and she said it was one of the most, I wish I could actually pull it up. She said it was one of the most liberating feelings she has ever had. And it makes me like so emotional, because it really does. Like, it is so hard to go through what you're going through. And I know it, I feel it, because I have been there, and it's scary and you feel alone, but you're not alone, and I am here for you. And when you own up and you step up to the plate and you say, I'm going to freaking do this, Caitlen, you get to be free from all of those negative thoughts. You get to have this liberating feeling, and you get to have the long-term results where you get to look back and say, excuse my language, but like, hell yeah, I did that. Like, hell yes, I have this freedom. And you feel so freaking good. So good, okay? Now, my second piece here, and this is massively, massively, massively important. You need to learn how to track your macros in the real world settings. Most diets tell you that you can or cannot eat certain foods, which makes you avoid certain foods altogether. Meaning, if you go out to eat and there is bread on a burger, you can't have it. You try to switch the bun for lettuce, or maybe you're scared of the fat in the burger, so you opt for the salad overall. There are donuts in stores that have no nutrition information, or you want to go get sushi, but you're like, ooh, I don't know how to track this. You need to start to learn how to track all of those things, how to go throughout these real world scenarios, how to travel and still feel free, how to go through the holidays, go to the potlucks, eat the foods that don't have nutrition information. These are all things that I actually teach in my Beautiful Peach Mastermind, BPM. And it teaches you how to live your life the way that you personally want to live your life and still see the changes happen, okay? You do not need to be trying to cater to some sort of diet guideline. You need what you do to cater to you, which is why I encourage my clients. It makes me so happy, but I want my clients to literally plan the dinners out, to plan the weekend trips, to plan the sushi night, to go get the chocolate chip muffin that doesn't have nutrition labels, and to come to me and say, hey, Caitlen, here's what I'm doing. And I will talk about it. I will teach you how to navigate that. I will teach you how to do that freely so you are no longer stuck in this mental space that is weighing you down and making you feel stressed. So important. I feel like I'm like in this like passion-filled moment right now with this. I'm like, oh, I feel this. Feeling this podcast deep, you guys. I'm feeling it deep here. I had this quote and I have this in my notes here, and I think it's a very, very, very strong quote. I think in like every third episode, I talk about 101 essays that will change the way you think, but I cannot even tell you, it literally is so true. As I'm reading it, I read it every morning, and I'll like read through some little pieces, and they're like short little tidbits, and I'll read one for you in a second, but they're short tidbits, and when one resonates with me, I use it to journal, and I like keep my journal. I actually have kept the last like 4 years worth of journals, and it's so fun to go back, and sometimes I'll highlight things if it's still resonating with me. Sometimes I'll look at it and be like, wow, I cannot believe the breakthroughs that I've been having. But it really helps you step into the space where you're more, for lack of better words, but like more emotionally intelligent, more like at peace with yourself, and more, I don't know, it's like freeing. It's freeing when you have this like mental ability to see outside the lines and to find this freedom in yourself. So let me read this to you, okay? It says, discomfort is what happens when we are on the precipice of change. I love that word, precipice. We are on the precipice of change. Unfortunately, we often confuse it for unhappiness and cope with the latter while running from the former. It usually takes a bit of discomfort to break through to a new understanding, to release a limiting belief, and to motivate ourselves to create real change. Discomfort is a signal, one that is often very helpful. And that one has been, this is so powerful to me. And that's how short little blurbs are. So like I would take that and I would take it and I'd be like, okay, so like where am I feeling discomfort in my life? Like where am I feeling these nervousness of like, here's a place where I can get outside of my comfort zone, but like I'm very uncomfortable in this situation. What does this mean? Am I unhappy? No, it means I need to continue to push forward. And I think I really challenge you to lean into this discomfort because it helps actually suppress the fear to run, right? So you can swap where the suppressing is happening, and instead of suppressing yourself from that breakthrough, you're suppressing yourself from that fear, okay? If you're just always running, then you're never going to be able to change. I think for a lot of people, they're just like, I'm not going to keep food in my house that I consider bad. I'm not going to go out to eat. I'm not going to go on the vacations. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that because I'm scared. But you have to push yourself forward and get in those uncomfortable situations. And I definitely recommend getting support while going through that so you can learn to navigate, okay? And this last one is also extremely powerful. Make it your goal to fail. Make it your goal to fail. If you are failing, it shows that you are trying. And let me explain this a little bit better. And one of my friends has a podcast, and she said this one time. She is an entrepreneur, and she's just like a brilliant, brilliant person, but she is so brilliant. And she said, we fail in order to learn. We fail in order to win. And when you think about it this way, this is a really great way that I like to think about it. You know that I love my little visual ways to think about things. Babies don't just walk. They try and they fail again and again and again. They don't just give up, but they also have a lot less life experience of the disappointment of failing in the past, right? So a lot of times we're scared of failure because it doesn't feel good. But if you change your mindset to think, okay, failure is actually a good thing. I see that I failed. Doesn't feel great in this moment, but what does this mean I need to do to change in the future? If you failed when you're dieting, it means, okay, let's sit down and think about it. Why did you fail? Well, you were super restricted and that didn't feel good. You were doing endless cardio. That didn't feel good. It wasn't sustainable. It failed. So now moving forward, you need to find the sustainable solution, okay? And if we just give up the second that we fail, this is telling you and yourself that you are not capable when you really, really, truly are. You just don't have the right game plan yet. This is telling yourself that failure is bad, which it is not. Failing is what helps us learn and what teaches us what we do and don't want. And also this is telling ourselves that, we're internally deciding that the freedom that we are pushing forward to is simply not worth it, and you are not worth it, which is not true at all. You are so unbelievably worth everything you dream of. And I want you to be dreaming as big as you possibly can, because if you are living in this world of, I'm not good enough, this isn't good enough, I can't do this, you're really working your brain to believe that it's true. But if you're living in a world of abundance where you're like, heck yes, I can have this dream body. Heck yes, I can have this food freedom. You are setting your goals so high, you will be able to attain this because you're waking up every single day saying, it's okay that I failed, saying, hey, it's okay that it's hard. Hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable and it's okay. It's not rainbows and butterflies, but it's more of the fact that you are training and teaching yourself to push forward, that you are worth it and that you are capable of getting to the other side. And to be totally honest with you, that is the difference between somebody who is going to succeed and someone who's going to stay where they are for the rest of their life. So when I see somebody who applies to BPM and they are in this space where they're like, hey, I failed, it hurt, I'm scared, this is what I want. I want sustainable solutions. I want long-term freedom. Like, I am here for that. I know it's going to be uncomfy, but I also know that you're going to be there by my side the entire way. Like, let's freaking do this. That to me shows that you are in this space where you're just ready to freaking do this. And it makes my heart so happy because I know if you are listening to this podcast and you are here to learn from me, you are that kind of person. Like, you are that kind of person who is showing up for yourself, who is making those forward movements. It's hard, yes. And you might be like, Caitlen, panic. And I'm giving you a big bear hug from afar, but you can freaking do this, okay? So I have so much love for you. I have so much love for you. I know it is hard where you are right now. I have been in your shoes, but don't you dare give up, because if you give up, you're giving up what you can have, and it's just right around the corner. So I am obsessed with you. I am so happy you are here, and I hope you are enjoying all of these episodes. If you are brand new to my podcast, I am happy to have you here. Go take a peek at my other episodes. If you are not brand new and you're like, I'm an avid listener, hey, what's up? How you doing? And I adore you all. So I will let you go. I will see you in the next episode, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day and rest of your week and rest of your life. Let's put it for the whole way, right? So I will see you in the next episode. Bye, my beautiful peach.